Let's see here. It's recording. Okay, Miss Savannah, you can go ahead and take it from here.
All right, thank you. Hi, class. Like Tatum said, my name is Savannah. Thank you guys for having me. I am a clinician at the On-Site Counseling Program Center, which is a counseling center available for you guys on campus. I know a lot of you are not on campus and it's remote right now, so we also are offering telehealth services, which means you can have your session online in a similar setting like this. I will give in the chat kind of at the end of the presentation, our phone number, our email address, so you can reach out to us if you guys have any inquiries. But I'm going to kind of jump right into it today because I have lots of information for you guys. Do not worry, I'm not going to be asking you guys any questions. So you guys just get to show up, listen. I'm going to be talking to your teacher, Miss Harrington. So she's going to be the one who's going to engage with me. So save your questions till the end. You can type them in the chat. We'll address them. Or you can take yourselves off mute at the end when I open up time for questions. So I picked today's topic just kind of based on what's going on in our world. We're going to be talking about burnout and completing our stress cycle. I think a lot of people, especially right now with COVID, a lot of people hear I'm stressed, chronically stressed. We hear things about fight, flight, and freeze, but I'm going to give you guys just another angle about talking through the importance of emotions and how we have to complete our stress cycle to get through that emotion. So like Tina mentioned, I'm going to get started. So the first thing, like I said, we're going to talk about how to combat burnout and emotional exhaustion. So to do that, we need to first talk about the importance of emotions. So I know this word kind of probably gives people that like deep hit in their stomach. Emotions. We must understand that feelings exist in your body. So emotions are not optional. A common misperception is I'm not very emotional. I don't have emotions, or people like to say I'm shutting my emotions off, or this person is not engaged. They're not very emotional, right? Well, we have to really understand what emotions are. And again, they understand that they're feelings that do exist in your body, whether you want them to or not. So everything you guys are going through right now, COVID, school, your personal lives, that is living and existing inside of your body. We don't love to talk about emotions, which can be fine, but we still have to do something with them. So I'm going to put emotions on pause for a quick second. We'll come back to it to introduce the three components of burnout. So you guys have probably heard about burnout before, and these definitions provided are based on Herbert Freudenberger's research. So in his research, he introduced three different components. 1, emotional exhaustion. 2, decreased sense of accomplishment. And 3, depersonalization. So when we're talking about emotional exhaustion, we're talking about the fatigue that comes with carrying too much for too long. So we could argue that we are in that place right now, right? Carrying too much for too long, whether that be the stressors because of COVID, school, again, your personal lives. A decreased sense of accomplishment is the incomparable sense of futility, the feeling that nothing you do makes a difference. So no matter how much effort you put in, no matter what you do, right, that's not going to make a difference. So how might apply in your classroom? How do you think, Tatum?
I think that with everything that's going on today, I think that a lot of students are feeling lost and exhausted and just tired in the things that they're having to overcome. And I think that burnout can come through just like this continuous circle that we're in through Zoom meetings and through things being let down, things changing, you're wanting something to come up and that's not able to happen. And it's just like complete this exhaustion of circle.
Right. So specifically ways might it show in the classroom, like why try? Why go the extra mile to study? Why complete this test? Why do this paper? Why make it in APA format, right? These things that we just feel like nothing we do is going to make a difference. My grade's not going to make a difference. My educational experience is not going to make a difference in this pandemic. We are just completely exhausted. And then lastly, depersonalization. So this is the depletion of empathy, caring, and compassion. So it's like this brain fog, right? Have you ever been looking at something and you cannot remember what you're doing? That would refer to this depersonalization. So again, Tatum, what are we going through right now that might leave us all feeling burnt out?
I think the Zoom meetings in general are really
Yeah.
difficult for students. I think that the students are logging on every day, not seeing their classmates, not seeing their professors. And I think that that alone can be a struggle for students. And
Yeah.
this constant disconnection between, like I said, their students and then their professors. And
Right. And not to mention COVID, right? Living in a pandemic. So the social justice issues that have been arising, the tension of the election coming up, your lives outside of the classroom has been introducing you guys to a state of constant stress by constantly being exposed to these stressors. So now we have to go back to emotions and really understand what are emotions. Again, my 20-year-old self really needed to hear this because I'm like, I am controlling my emotions. I don't get overly emotional. I don't cry. I don't need this. When really I needed to understand, no, emotions are science. There are cycles that happen in your body. They're neurological events. So it's not just in your brain, but your entire neurological system. So it's what happens in your entire nervous system from the very, very top of your head to the tip of your toes and beyond your skin. They're involuntary. So again, a lot of us think, well, if I let my emotion come out, right? If I'm crying, if I'm being angry, if I'm lashing out. No, emotions are involuntary. They're a neurological response. But this part is the part that I just, again, needed to know when I was your age. They have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. So we're going to use the metaphor of a tunnel today. And Tatum, I might quiz you on this a few times. So if anything, I want you guys to remember this. Feelings are tunnels. You have to go all the way through them to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. So your emotions, they're automatic, they're instantaneous. Like I said, they happen everywhere within your body and it affects everything. And the reason why giving them a negative association in society does you guys a disservice is because when we think that being in touch of our emotions is a sign of weakness or something we can neglect, that can lead to just a number of issues, which I'll get into a little bit later. So a common misconception we like to think that for most of our lives, right? Like I'm a pretty cognitive, rational being. On the occasion, I will feel, but it's exactly the opposite. Really, from research and PET imaging, we've learned, no, we are emotional beings, but on the occasion we think. So it's not the other way around. It's not I'm going through life and just occasionally I'm going to have some feelings. No, it's really I'm living out my life as an emotional being, but on the occasion, I can use my cognitive skills and think. So what does all of this have to do with exhaustion? So when we're thinking back to that tunnel, right? Tatum, tell me about the tunnel.
You have to go through the tunnel to get to the light on the other side.
Yes. So when does exhaustion happen? Exhaustion happens when we get stuck in an emotion, when we do not make it through the tunnel. So this could happen if we're constantly being exposed to situations that activate emotions, which kind of is all of our lives right now. But I'm going to use a different example to help you guys get a better idea of it. So stressful jobs, environments that trigger past traumatic experiences, or just being in the presence of a crush. So we get lost or trapped in the emotion or the tunnel, if you will, and we need some help to get through because again, to complete the cycle, we have to get all the way through the tunnel. Another common misconception is that if we fix the issue, if I can just fix the issue, whatever's stressing me out, if I can get rid of the stressor, the emotion's over. Whoops, getting too excited here. And that's not true either. So there's this disconnect in the world we live in today that's happening when we are only removing the stressor. So I talked about a crush, right, Tatum? Let's take us back to when you had a crush on your fiance, okay? So imagine seeing him in the classroom constantly, having him in this class. That might constantly put you in this state of stress because he is in your presence. Think back to maybe like, I don't know your guys' story, but we're just going to pretend and say that you really had to muster up the courage and you walked up to him in class and you said, "Hi, my name is Tatum and I have a crush on you." Do you get relief at that moment? Do you feel better just walking out of the classroom? Is it like, oh, there's been a weight lifted off my shoulders, I feel so much better, I like remove the stressor, he knows I have a crush on him?
Definitely.
Okay, you might start to feel a little bit better, but it's probably not over, right? You
No.
might not feel better until you go home, right? That's not the end of it. You have to call your friend, call your best friend, call your mom. Just, you still are just have these jitters and you're like, it's not over just because we told him. So again, we have to complete the cycle. So remembering that removing the stressor does not complete our stress cycle is, again, if you guys leave with a few things today, that's one of the things I want you to leave with, that dealing with the feeling is separate than dealing with the issue. A lot of times we snap out of it or in the emotion because we think that's what we're supposed to do. That's the impression we get from society, from people. We don't want to be too needy, the overly emotional friends. So we're actually ending the emotion without fully getting ourselves through the tunnel. And what happens when we don't get through the tunnel? We're stuck in the stress. So taking away the hard facts about what we know about emotions, again, they're real, they're science. Emotions are neurobiology, and we should not take them lightly. So what are the consequences of getting stuck in emotions? Well, our blood vessels cannot handle chronic stress. So when we have persistent stress, adrenaline goes up, blood pressure goes up, and they talk about it like a fire hose. So when that happens, your blood vessels can pump, they can handle a little bit of stress, extra adrenaline pumping through for a small amount of time, but they're not functioned to work in that way for a long period of time. And that's when we have the additional health concerns. That is when stress causes cardiovascular issues, causes endocrine system issues, and digestive system issues. And one of the main ones from stress or trauma being IBS. So this is why it is very important to separate our stress from our stressors. So stressors are the things that activate the stress response. So a lot of these times, these things are external. So it's going to be the crush, the homework assignment, the test, the class, whatever it is. Sometimes too, they can be internal, right? Low self-esteem, something you're dealing with, just judgment concerns. But the stress, that is what happens in your body. That's the chemical response to the stressors. And this response was designed evolutionarily to protect us from dangers like being chased by a lion or trampled by a hippo. Tatum, would you rather us use a lion or a hippo for this case?
A hippo for sure.
Okay, hippo. So a hippo is charging at you, right? Again, the stress response, why it's evolutionarily designed. You are being charged by a hippo. What do you do?
I probably would scream, panic, I'd get nervous. I would try to run away as fast as I can.
Right.
Just
You're
escape.
running. Yes, you're running, right? And you eventually outrun this hippo and you make it into the inland or a little hut and they wave you in and they bring you into shelter, these people, and you guys are excited and there's celebration and there's relief and they hug and you remember how much you love your fiance and your mom and your dad and you're calling people and you're crying, right? As soon as you have outrun the hippo, you don't just feel better right away. You have to go through all of those things and then you start feeling better. So it was, again, not the removing of the stressor. It's not because the hippo isn't by you anymore. Your body doesn't know the hippo is gone, right? It's the running and the connections you made after that made the body a safe place again, not removing the stressor. So your body, again, does not know the hippo isn't there. The physiological change in your body that has to happen for the body to understand you're no longer in danger. So your body's behaviors, right? The celebration, the love, all of that connection you made after that is what triggers the physiological response of down regulation. which is when your body can begin to start to shift into that relaxation stage again. So again, removing our stressor does not mean the stress cycle is complete. So I think when I first heard this or restudied this, I was like, oh crap, what do I tell these students, right? If removing the stressor does not mean the stress cycle is complete, even if we're just talking about COVID or our classes, right? We cannot control when that ends. And that's good news for us because we don't have to wait for the stressor to go away to start feeling better. And thank God, meaning the pandemic does not have to be over to start experiencing some relief. Even so, when the stress goes away, you must deal with the stress. You have to get it out of your body. So just like Tatum did when she escaped the hippo, you have to do something that communicates that you're safe, or else you're going to stay in that state of hypervigilance. So again, we might ask, what's the consequence of staying in that state? Like, what if I never get it out of my body? What if it just lives inside for me forever? So the neurochemicals and hormones, they will degrade, but again, they'll never shift to relaxation. So the outcome of that would be these digestive issues, cardiovascular, immune, musculoskeletal, and reproductive systems. They're all impacted by this. They never get the signal you're safe because your body speaks body language. Therefore, the stress itself can kill you faster than the stressor will, because your body doesn't know. You cannot separate the body from the affect emotions. So what do we do with this? Again, we have to complete the stress cycle to get through the tunnel. So how do we do that? What does that look like? For you, Tatum, do you know what is that one thing for you that completes your stress cycle?
I think talking it through with someone, whether that be a family member, my fiance, God, just getting it out and releasing that out of my body verbally to someone else.
Yeah, releasing it verbally, good. For me, it's cycling, you guys. I have a cycle bar membership. I make sure I'm in there, if not every day, every other day, because I need to drain off the stress. So there are two things that commonly get us stuck in this tunnel: a lack of resources we have to drain off the stress, and social appropriateness. The reason why social appropriateness gets in the way sometimes is because we can't control when stress comes at us, right? So if you've ever had somebody insult you or say something really upsetting to you, you're not just going to punch them in the face like in that moment. You have to go deal with that. And that's the reason why social appropriateness can be a barrier sometimes, because we think, oh, I got this jerk away from me. Like, they're gone, the stressor is gone, like I can start feeling better. Well, no, you have to go home and you have to finish that to get through the tunnel. So we're going to go back kind of to the story about the hippo. Something you guys have all probably heard about, if not in this class, in another class, fight, flight, and freeze, right? So fight and flight, those are our sympathetic go responses. So these tell your body, go, 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 you are in danger. Well, they are a little bit different. So fight that's your approach response. So when you're in the fight response, you're moving toward the threat to destroy it. So that's what would have happened if Tatum, got some weapons and tried to really take on this hippo. Flight, that's the avoid response. That is run. You are in danger, run. That's what she did. But then we also have freeze. And just another common misconception, oftentimes we associate freeze with weakness, right? Freeze, you just froze, you didn't do anything, you're choked up. But those are actually our sympathetic brakes saying, stop, you are in danger. And this can actually be just as useful for survival in situations. A lot of animals, again, use that in the wild to misconceive or to fake out, I guess, if you will, whoever is attacking them, their predator. So again, those responses is what your body chooses to do in that moment. But what those things are missing, again, because we've learned these things, right? Fight, flight, and freeze. I handled the situation. I'm good. I dealt with it. My body has it under control. But just by doing living out those systems, we have not started the shift back to the healthy state. So whether we fight, fly, or freeze, we have to turn toward that feeling and complete the cycle. Those are the responses our sympathetic system chooses to take, that your body will naturally take, but we still have to finish the feeling and complete the cycle. So how do we do this? The number one way to do this is physical activity. If you're not a physical activity person, that's okay. Don't be discouraged. This is literally any movement of your body, whether that's walking, running, cycling, dancing, tense control, sitting here, tensing every single muscle in your body so tight and then releasing it. This doesn't have to be competitive or intense, but again, just moving it, literally moving it out of your body. So in addition to physical activity, I'm going to give you 6 more. So a total of 7 ways to downregulate your nervous system. Like I said, physical activity, just out of curiosity, Tatum, what's your favorite form? I shared mine as cycling.
I also really enjoy cycling, and I like to go on walks and runs.
Nice. Breathing. Okay, so you guys have probably heard multiple deep breathing techniques by now. If not, there are research does support just simple as just breathing in and out. But we really try belly breathing if you haven't, placing your hand on your stomach, really using your breath to push your belly out, to feel your hand go out and pull it back in, contracting those abs. My husband we are newly married, so that felt very weird. My husband is a elementary special ed teacher, and a little resource I gave him for his kids, just because it's easy, you don't need any materials to do this, is just 5-finger breathing. So at the peaks is your inhale, or it's your pause. You're going inhale up, pause, exhale down. So you take a deep breath in, get to the top, exhale out. In, out, and then finish it. You can also, if you like art, do it with a star. I like to draw my stars like this. Some people like it like this. Either way, you have 5-point breathing, right? Whether you're using your fingers or a star. Those are really easy ways for you to just have what you have wherever you're at and do this deep breathing. So positive social interaction. Like Tatum's experience, she ran, she celebrated with the people who saved her from the hippo. She hugged, she called her mom. Positive social interaction helps begin to get us through this stress cycle. I know that feels really hard right now, you guys, because there's so many parameters around how we can have social interaction. But be inventive. You guys know the cost. It's worth it. You are worth it. Your mental health is worth it. And getting through that tunnel is worth it to figure out ways you can have positive social interaction. Laughter. This cannot be the fake laughter that kind of covers up like awkward situations or small giggles. This has to be like ugly, big belly, mouth open, head back, slobbery, like snorting laughter. This real genuine laughter, you guys, that is what will really help shift you out of that stress cycle as well. If you're like, I'm not really around that many funny people, stand-up comedy, podcasts that are funny movies, TV shows, whatever it is, be around people or make yourself watch things that make you laugh. Affection, hug, whatever it is, again, sharing intimate moments with people you love. Just a fun fact, a 20-second hug, really sitting there holding the other person. This can also be done with like weighted blankets, cuddling with body pillows, or I don't want to say stuffed animals, but you guys get what I'm saying. Those 20 seconds can lower your heart rate, change your hormones, lower your blood pressure, and improve your mood because that intimacy is releasing the oxytocin. So crying. Again, we talked about crying a little bit with the negative association of emotions. This is not the type of crying that I'm saying, go in your room, cry yourself to sleep, think of all the terrible things in your life, and just keep going there, keep ruminating on it. This crying is different in the sense of I want you guys to try and focus on what is going on to your body. So this is, I'm crying right now. My heart is racing. I feel hot. Tears are really coming down my face. My abs are contracting. Whatever it is, when you start to focus on what's actually happening to your body when you're crying and understand that crying has a purpose. Again, I talked about contracting muscles and releasing, right? That is another way of your body releasing. What happens when we cry a lot of times is we start to cry and we're thinking about the relationship that ended or whatever happens. And we keep thinking about it. He hurt me, he did this. And it's just, you're never gonna stop crying that way. So this type of crying, again, is intentional of my body is crying because my body needs to release, not I'm going to sit here and think about every wrong thing that's been done to me or hurting me. And then lastly, creative expression. So again, if you're not a physical activity person, this is art, this is music, this is any type of photography, expression, or it doesn't even have to be that. This can even be abstract. So abstract thinking or using your imagination. I once talked to a lady, she hated physical activity. She's like, I'm not into sweating. I'm not into the hard work of physical activity, but I can get on my elliptical or go on a walk around my block. And I start to get creative with my imagination. I imagine myself as King Kong and the building as all the things that are stressing me out. And I am just trampling everything, or a punching bag or whatever that is. Sharing a little quote with you guys from Carrie Fisher today. She said, take your broken heart and turn it into art. So this, again, one of these 7 things you guys have to go to these things to get through your tunnel. So lastly, just some 4 points to leave you guys today. So the good news, stress is not the problem. Stress and all the things that are stressing you out are not the problem. To be well is to move fluidly from the intense emotional state, whether that's positive or negative, and back into safety. Stress is not bad for you. Being stuck is bad for you. Tatum, for one last time, can you tell us about our tunnel, please?
That you need to get through the tunnel, like you said, not getting stuck in the tunnel and just keep moving forward towards the light at the other end.
Yes, good. And just again, wanted to talk about this today to really tie in. I know Coach Danny talked to you guys already about physical wellness. You guys are in concepts of wellness. I'm obviously speaking to you today about emotional wellness, and just remembering that wellness is not a state of being, it's a state of action. And taking this action is going to help you guys in the long run be emotionally well when you choose to go through that tunnel, complete your stress cycle, and get to the other end. So that is all I have for you guys today. I don't know are you going to record the questions, Tatum?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and record the questions as well.
Okay, cool. So if anybody like I said, I had lots of information, so I kind of wanted to speed through. I'll take questions first and then give you guys a little bit of info just about on-site, how you can get a hold of us, where we're at. So either way works. You can type a question into the chat. You can send it to me privately if you don't want people to see who it's coming from, or you can just take yourself off mute. Even if they're not questions, reactions, responses.
Is it a good way to cope with like stress when you're like stressed over an assignment and you're like, forget it, it's too late now? Like,
yeah. So 2 things I'm hearing. One, we talked early on in the presentation about the decreased sense of accomplishment and the emotional exhaustion. You might be there. It sounds like the sense of nothing I do is going to make a difference. So the importance of armoring you guys with getting through the tunnel is that sometimes the stressor might not go away, right? So like you said, Mario, the assignment's still going to be there. The class is still going to be there. You have to return to it. It's not like once this assignment disappears or I finish this class, right, that's all done, I feel better. So you have to actively, throughout that period, be taking steps to work through the tunnel. So it sounds like, did you say an assignment specifically, Mario?
I'm just talking about like overall school.
Yeah, overall school. Well, good. That's not going. A lot of you guys are freshmen. You got at least 4 more years, right, for undergrad. So the key is to be doing things throughout the process, because the classes are not going to end. The assignments are not going to end. Even after you turn in that one big test, right? It's not done. So it's constantly taking steps to move yourself through the tunnel. So Mario, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here just because you're asking, what do you like to do to move your body to get that release?
Well, usually I run, but I'm on break right now, so it's like my 3rd day without running.
Yeah.
But it feels kind of good not to run too, because like it's good to take a break from that too.
Yeah. And being inventive. And that's why we talk about 7 ways. So running, I totally get it. Fun fact, I was a student athlete. So I know the love-hate relationship of training. I have to train, it's my job, but I also need to train. It makes me feel better. That's why we do other things, dancing, release, breathing, talking to the friends. Tatum shared some of hers, calling mom, whoever it is, important people in your life, hugging. Try these 20-second hugs out with people, but it's constantly moving because sometimes the tunnels can feel very long. So when we are applying, doing each of these things, not just one, I'm not going to just depend on running, right, to just get me through this tunnel every time. I'm going to keep doing different things to keep moving me forward. So it doesn't happen right away. It's not just I made it through the tunnel, I feel great. Your body will learn over time. It is safe. You just have to know how to recognize it. Once you can start recognizing that you're feeling a little bit better in increments, hold on to that, and that's when you know you're going in the right direction. Thank you for that question. That was good. Any other questions?
Hi. How would you like differentiate between stress and anxiety?
I thought this one would come up. So anxiety, that is the perceived. So one, stress can be good or bad, right? Stress is your body's response to a stressor. So it's something, your body's response to something that's causing that. Anxiety is also a response, but we don't necessarily refer to anxiety as a positive feeling because anxiety is a response to a perceived threat. So we talked about stress being able to, right? We can feel stress like about good things, like my crush is in the room. It's my body's response. I'm excited because that stressor is like across the room from me. Whereas anxiety, that's a perceived threat. So that is another response that your body takes on when it feels threatened.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? These are all good questions.
Another one for me. Another thing that happens to me is like when I'm stressed from like an assignment and then I go run and like I feel stress from the assignment I feel stress while running because of the assignment. Like, how do I get over that too?
Yeah, like you're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So one thing, that's not the worst thing, right? So we talked about the disconnect that happens when we think we're going to shut something off and not lean towards it. So what you're talking about is good. It's like we're not always looking for an escape just to stop thinking about the assignment, right? Your body could actively, when it leans into what's stressing you out, you're going through the tunnel. So it sounds like, Mario, you're on a better track than you think you are on, but it's reframing stress as being bad into this could be good stress. This is telling me I have an assignment and I need to lean into that. But what I'm doing right now is taking the space to run, to let the release come out of my body, because we know all the things that it's doing inside of our body, right? That doesn't always mean our mind's going to stop thinking about it, but our body is dealing with it for us in a better way, instead of living inside of you and massaging to these health issues or these negative issues that are happening. So you might be, like I said, on a better track than you think. It's not always about muting it and pretending it isn't there and getting it out of your head, but it's about getting through the tunnel where you will have the light on the other end.
Hello again. I have obviously another question.
Yeah.
You mentioned what can happen if you get stuck in the tunnel and becoming emotionally exhausted, to the point where, you know, you just feel like not doing anything, and Mario kind of hit it, like you just don't even do the assignment, or you kind of start getting behind and whatnot. How does one like get past that if the emotional exhaustion gets you to the point where you can't do what would get you out of that tunnel, if that makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. So the first thing we have to do, you guys, is let's just all pretend we're learning this today for the first time. So with that being said, we need to apply it to our lives, right? So we're going to take, okay, I had a presenter, Savannah, in my class today. She said, these are 7 things that can help me get through this tunnel. So I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try it out for 2 weeks consistently. I know that I'm making efforts each day to work through this tunnel. But then there also has to be another part, which this is a really good transition into some later information I was going to share, to sometimes we can't do it by ourselves, which I alluded to that in early on in this, in the presentation. Sometimes we get stuck and we need a little bit of help. So what we have to keep in mind is, have I tried everything to get through the tunnel? Am I actively using my deep breathing, my exercising, my laughter, whatever that is? And if that's still not working, it could be a good time to explore, am I depressed? Is this a mental health issue? Have I done everything to take myself? Does my body feel safe? Is my body in a state of relaxation and I still can't find energy to do what I need to do? And while we did talk about burnout and talk about the depletion and the emotional exhaustion, if you feel like you've actively taken steps to go through the tunnel and you still cannot find the light, that could be a good indicator to, again, explore, is this a mental health thing for me? Am I depressed? And do I have anxiety that may feel a little more intense than just persistent stress? And seek out the help that we need. So with that, I'm still open for questions, but I'm gonna kind of give you guys some information about on-site. So you guys have an amazing, amazing opportunity. I went to FPU also, and it was available for me as well. It's $5 for you guys as undergrad students for your first 6 sessions, $10 for your next 6 sessions. And after that, a $20 fee. So those first 12 sessions are discounted at such a low rate, right? And I know a lot of times in college, we may feel we have better things to spend our money on, or don't even have that money to spend, but still seek the help you need. We can work with you. We never want the financial issue to be a barrier for getting the help you need. With that being said, like I said, I was not really convinced until I got out of college and saw that therapy can sometimes be like $170 to $200 per session. And I was like, why on earth did I ever think I was not worth $5 a session? So come to us. We can help. We can start to help you get you connected with a clinician. So I'm going to put in the chat right now. You guys can email us. Sorry, I'm finding I can't type and talk at the same time. Okay. So a lot of times something that keeps people from calling or reaching out is like, I don't even know what to say on the phone. Like, this is going to be an awkward conversation. This number is just an confidential voicemail. So you don't actually have to talk to anybody on the other side. You would call this number, the 453-8050, and leave a message and say, hi, this is my name. I'd like to be set up with a clinician. Feel free to call me back at this number, right? And we would call you back. So also some good news is you guys have met me now. So it is only myself or two other ladies, Alicia or Rachel, working the referral line. So it's not like you're calling and you're going to get a group of strangers calling you back. It will be myself, Alicia, or Rachel that will respond to you, whether it is a voicemail you leave or an email at that email address. Again, same thing for the email. Hi, my name is Savannah. I'm interested in services. I'm an FPU Tug student. Here's my number, call me. Eventually we do have to call you because we have to go through like a 5 to 10 minute really brief intake on the phone, just getting some information, your class schedule, so we can set you up with a clinician. But like taking the first step is honestly just everything as hard as it feels. You will be just so blessed by that in the end. So reach out to the resources, right? We talked about reasons why we may be stuck in that tunnel. One, we don't have the resources to drain off that stress, or there's extra barriers or appropriateness that feels like a barrier. So don't let their lack of resources be the reason why you guys are stuck in the tunnel. You have on-site, you have people here that care for you, your teacher, that I know has made herself available to you guys if you do need help getting connected. And you guys now have 7 ways to attempt to get yourself into that relaxation stage. Thank you, Diamond.
And what are the, how are the services available to students right now? Are they virtual, over the phone? What are those looking like given our state right now?
Yeah, so it looks like most of you would be a good candidate for telehealth, meaning to be a good candidate for telehealth, you need steady, reliable internet. You need access to a confidential setting, meaning you need to be in your room or a room with a closed door by yourself, just because everything is confidential, just between you and the therapist. If you do not have access to a computer or internet, or for whatever reason, or get disconnected, maybe have just bad Wi-Fi, we can also do services over the phone. I've done FaceTime with my clients before. I know sometimes in those dorms, there's a really bad connection. But we, again, don't want this way of life right now to get in the way of getting you the help. I am just gonna kind of go into this question right here. Absolutely not. So just to be, so I got a question, a private question. And the question is, if we aren't very religious, will that conflict with the counseling provided will be pushed upon us? Great question. Absolutely not. So we, just to give you guys a little bit of background about therapy. So everything you disclose to the clinician is 100% confidential. There are 3 reasons why clinicians would have to break that confidentiality. If you're a threat to yourself or somebody else, if they have reasonable suspicion that there's any child abuse, a dependent elder abuse going on, or if like we got sued for whatever reason and the courts asked for our documents, that would be another way we'd have to release information to just let the authorities know, keep everybody safe. But any talk about any student violations, policy violations, religious affiliation, and none of that is ever used against you in therapy. It will not be forced upon you. It is the one place that you can go to and you have some privacy. So those should not be concerns ever for not wanting to seek out a therapist. But sorry, I kind of jumped into that. So yeah, right now we are virtual. We're looking to come back on campus when it is safe. We're following CDC guidelines and the president's as well. But right now we are virtual on Zoom, or we can do phone like I mentioned.
With the virtual services, And like, I think you said there's 3 of you. What's like the frequency of sessions? Like, is it something where like it's so busy that you're seeing like once a month?
Okay,
Or
thank you.
does it
Yeah, let me clarify. So there's only 3 of us. We're intake coordinators. I'm also a clinician and I do have a caseload, but meaning there's only 3 of us that will get you connected with your therapist. One of us 3 will not necessarily be your therapist. We have a team of therapists, but we are the only ones that answer the phone calls and that will do your intakes. So we have a team of therapists. We're ready for you guys. Call us. We're ready to help. Your guys' sessions are weekly. We are not too busy to take you on. There are openings, but yeah, you will be seen on a week-to-week basis. Love the little thumbs up. Any other questions or comments, concerns, takeaways?
I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. It's another assignment thing. So like you have like a workload and like, well, I have like a list. I don't know where it is. Oh, it's like right here. All right. So like I write like most of the stuff down I have to do. And then I do like most of it and it's late. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Is it better to go to sleep and get more rest and maybe miss the assignment, or stay up and not get sleep before your next class?
I'm gonna let the class answer first. Anybody else ever felt like that?
Yeah, me also.
Yes.
Yes. And something I want to point out just in the language that you use, Mario, the reason why you do not feel better is because what is your list? Your list is the stressors. So we already know that, right, from the presentation. Putting your stressors away, even if you did finish the list, you might go to bed feeling accomplished, great, but you have not worked through those emotions. So it's that key part, you guys. I'm just gonna tunnel. It's the emotions. You have to go through the tunnel. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end, but they have to make it all the way through to feel any relief. So your list of assignments, the list itself and the assignments itself, that's just a stressor. So whether you complete it or not, that doesn't mean the relief is coming. It's the process of continually working through the tunnel, trudging through the tunnel of where you're going to find the relief.
I'll kind of piggyback off of him and his question, because this, like, for instance, with our lab that's due today, like, it's like identifying your stressors and whatnot. And as someone with anxiety, to write out my stressors makes me feel stressed. So then you get to the point where it's like Mario said, like, oh, I'm tired. Like, I think it was like 3 something in the morning I went to bed, because like just working through all of those like deep questions kind of like makes you emotionally tired, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where you don't finish the assignment, or even like in the past with labs, like when I do finish the assignment, I don't necessarily feel better that the assignment's done, because it's like, dang, you just had to like go through your whole life story type of thing. So it's like, how do you combat something like having to almost like not necessarily face your problems in a uncomfortable way, but just actually, yeah, that's kind of like what it is.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So there's 2 pieces to that. One is you guys, you're learning, you're young adults, but you have to learn how to advocate for yourself. So if you do have an underlying learning disorder, mental health disorder, honestly, just anything that you feel is a barrier between you and your education, you got to stand up for yourself, talk to your teachers, have these conversations. I don't know, again, how acquainted you guys all are with services on campus, but we have an entire department for you guys to deal with these types of accommodations, the ASC, which is the Academic Success Center. So these might all be good, viable options. But something you're talking about, Diamond, is the vicarious trauma. So meaning our triggers, right? Those are things that trigger us when we've had past traumatic experiences, we can have secondhand re-exposure to that trauma through reliving out these triggers. So like you said, you're like, I'm exhausted. Whatever is my underlying issues of these anxiety or these triggers, I didn't go through them last night, but just re-exposing myself to them in that way triggered me in that way that made my body remember that it went through them. If you guys are suffering in this way where you're having triggers that come up that seem so intense that you cannot deal with them, again, that might be, today I threw at you guys 7 bullet step ways in how you can start this process. These all might be indicators that this is a life process, learning to live with the trauma that's happened to us, or things that have been done, said to us, whatever the case is, things we've overcome, might indicate you guys would need more intense services, weekly therapy, weekly tools, weekly skills, weekly resources that help you get in a place where you would move into I don't want to say healthy enough place to insinuate you guys are unhealthy, but a place where you can actively and successfully cope with being re-exposed or writing this paper so that it is not a detriment to your mental health. Because we want you guys to be equipped, sturdy, emotionally well, to be able to do assignments without having to relive that trauma. So if you guys are feeling like this assignment or something else that happened recently to me really pushed me over the edge, again, it could be a good indicator that I might need a little bit more work in this area because these things are not resolved and it's making it hard for me to function.
Mhm.
Any other questions, you guys? These are all great questions.
Savannah, could you put the 7 tips in the chat by chance that students can take away in case they didn't write them down?
Yes. Let me do that. If you guys come up with anything else in the meantime, go ahead. Can someone show me? I said I wasn't going to quiz you guys, but now just for the sake that we have 5 minutes left, I might. Can someone show me our breathing technique we learned today?
Was it the 5 fingers or the one where it's on your stomach?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just, inhaling, holding it, and then exhaling. And
Yes.
continuing. So
Perfect.
5-point breathing.
Yes, perfect. Good job, you guys. You guys are stars. All right, well, I put the 7 ways in here. Like I said, Tatum's available, I'm available. Oh, I can put you also, if you don't want to email our referral line you can email me directly and I will get you set up with a clinician. So I put my email in there as well. I am specifically a clinician for athletes, for student athletes. So if any of you guys are athletes in here and interested in services, you can email me directly also. But yeah, if that is all your guys' questions, maybe I'll leave 1 or 2 minutes after this to see if there's any lingering questions. But if not, I'm going to hand it back over to Tatum or Miss Harrington.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's it. If you guys have any further questions, Savannah, like she said, will stick around for the next couple minutes on Zoom. If not, you guys are set to leave. Thank you so much. I wrote everyone's names down that were here, so I'll add extra credit for you guys. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week on Zoom. Bye, you guys.
Go get through
Thank
the
you.
tunnels.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thank you.